Welcome to our favourite segment of the week. Of course, you know what time it is. The WTF Stats of the Week. Nico Cantor, JD Dyer in the building. And this is the most humbling part of the week because this is the only part we have no idea what's coming next. We rattle through a couple of stats for you just to tell you about some crazy, incredible stats that's happened. And then it's trivia time. And Nico, we've had some good weeks. We've had some bad weeks, right?
Well, better good weeks than bad weeks.
I like his optimism. I love it. All right, let's roll into our first one, right? This is an incredible stat this week from the North London Derby because watching this guy in terms of rejuvenate his career, he seems to add layers to his career every single time, but this one is incredible. Every time Trossard scores when Arsenal play, of course. 24 wins, 8 draws. It's just fantastic looking what Leo Trossard has done. The Belgium is just incredible, inside, outside, short in magnitude, but big in terms of his heart. See how I recovered it there? It was nice, right? I didn't want to kill him too much.
Undefeated, like Arsenal when Trossard scores.
Yeah, guy. That's what I wanted to say. I flip to the next one, though, because the next one's actually quite fun.
Okay, all right, yeah, let's take a look at it. Callum Wilson against Bournemouth. He had 2 goals but 0 accurate passes. And listen to this. He's the first player on record to score 2+ goals with not a single accurate pass in a top 5 league game while playing 30+ minutes. That is incredible. Talk about efficiency at its finest, right?
I mean, goals is your currency. Callum Wilson has built his whole career, Bournemouth, West Ham, everywhere else in between.
But
goals is your currency. Newcastle too.
At least find a teammate.
Nah, bro.
What?
I'm a number 9. That's what I do. I'm built to score. Okay, here's the fun part now because the trivia section and we have no idea what's happening. Of course, we always have one player on one team. So roll me the player. Let's see what happens first. Let's just see what happens. Can we guess this player, Nico? The clue is he leads the top 5 leagues in terms of big chances of outscoring, despite being injured since the start, with the end of October. Okay, 7 big chances, no goals. Do you at least have a little bit of a clue from his, I don't know, is it silhouette?
His team won a derby game yesterday.
Ooh.
An Inter player. It leads top 5 leagues in big chances without scoring, despite being injured since the start of October.
The end of October.
Since the end of being injured since the end of October.
We got a third clue? You only 2 clues? Oh, third one's coming. Joined his current club for a record fee from his...
Oh, is this Jimenez, Santi Jimenez?
Ah, that's a good shout.
But his team won a derby game yesterday, threw me off, but he's been injured since the start of October.
Jimenez.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. I like that. I didn't realize he had created so many big chances. But he has been good. He's a good little feature.
But he has to score. If you're at Milan, you have to score. Like at the end of I don't think Milan fans are too happy because at Feyenoord, he was lights out. He was so good.
Have you seen Serie A? The goals are a luxury right there.
No, but at Milan, it doesn't matter what your context is. You got to get goals, and this guy doesn't have them.
All right, he's on the context of team, so let's switch to the team. Of course, we know we're going to guess the famous team that's this week. I'm interested to know this one. This one's going to be always a little bit more difficult. Fouls per game, ranked 32. Okay, yellow cards, ranked number 1. This is the Champions League stats.
Okay, they...
Notice the discrepancy. Ooh, I like that clue.
They could do as little fouls, because from 32 teams, right?
Yep.
They are ranked lowest in fouls per game, but they have the most yellow cards.
That's good, though. That's good. That's not too bad. That means that your fouls are clinical. They're cynical. Do we get another clue? We got a second clue? No second clue. What? Producer Jelani, you killing us this week. That's it. This is it. All right, notice the discrepancy. So they don't give away a lot of fouls, but they collect a lot of yellow cards. The immediate team that came to my mind is Chelsea because they've had a disciplinary problem this year, but that might not be it. That's a question mark to you. You got a guess?
For me, it's not like an obvious team. It's got to be like...
You got to think Champions League, though.
Yeah, but like it could be like Carragher, but Carragher's got to put more fouls.
He's going to be here all day, I'm telling you. He's going to be here all day. Look, he's going to... Top right was the clue.
Oh, Koulé. Not a clue. Koulé.
And I have you're the language. This is all you.
I was here ignoring the typo. Please. It's clearly not our typo. Our producers know what they're doing.
They good.
Wow.
They rattle through it every week. And this is why we enjoy this segment every week, because we don't have any idea what's coming next. But this has been Numbers Don't Lie, of course, by Nico Cantor, JD Dyer. What do we always say? Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. So make sure we see you next week.
Hey, thanks for watching this video from Numbers Don't Lie. Be sure to catch our show every Monday at 5 p.m. on YouTube. And for news and insights from leagues all around the world, including Serie A, EFL, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's. Don't forget.
Arsenal 6 points clear then at the top of the Premier League after victory in the North London derby yesterday. Jamie Carragher was watching at the Emirates. Was that a significant result at the end of a big weekend for Arsenal and also elsewhere?
Yeah, it was. It wasn't just the 3 points. I mean, we normally expect the 3 points for Arsenal when they play at home against any Spurs team, really, in the Premier League era. We've seen that with the stats. But the manner of the victory almost sort of felt like you were watching champions. You know, it's very early in the season, but, you know, the big favourites to go on and win the title. And I think when a team win the league, you're always looking sort of 5 or 6 games. You look back on, you know, maybe not so much turning points, but big results, big performances. And that felt like a big one because who it was against.
I'm sure Mikel Arteta will say the challenge is now to back that up. They go to Stamford Bridge on Super Sunday. Could Chelsea establish themselves as one of the challengers if they can get a positive result in that game?
Oh, of course they can. I think there's 6 points in. If they win the game, 3 points off Arsenal. And, you know, we talk, you know, really well of Arsenal this season about how well they've done. If Chelsea can find themselves in a position where they're only 3 points off, when you consider at times it's felt like you're not quite sure about Chelsea at the start of this season. A couple of really poor home results. I think it was Sunderland and Brighton beat them at Stamford Bridge. But I think Maresca, since he's come in, has done a brilliant job. I don't think they've quite got the squad to win a league title. I haven't felt that last season or this season. So I think what the manager did this season, and if he can make Chelsea the biggest challengers to Arsenal this season, that'll be another great season for him.
What about Arsenal's opponents yesterday, Tottenham Hotspur? And they've had 2 significant games, you would say, this season against their so-called rivals in Chelsea and Arsenal. XG in those 2 games, 0.07 and 0.05. Does it feel like they've gone from one end of the spectrum to the other a little bit?
Well, they have a little bit, and a lot of teams do that. They go from one extreme to another when they're changing a manager because, you know, Ange's teams were too open, so we need someone who's maybe a little bit better defensively. And now they're having a problem in terms of scoring goals. Not so much scoring goals, actually, creating big chances. They've really overperformed their XG this season. So I think the worry for Spurs fans is it's not going to be what we've seen at the start of the season in terms of results. It's actually going to get a little bit worse if they fall back on the numbers, as most teams do. This was something we highlighted a few weeks ago after the Chelsea game about Thomas Frank and Spurs. I mean, he's been on the show, friend of the show on Monday Night Football. But that's the problem for any manager when they're managing at the top level. You know, getting that balance right between defence and attack. The reason managers manage at the top level is that they can do both. You know, and probably you're not asked as many questions when you're the manager of Brentford in terms of what you're going to do going forward. What's the style of football going to be? But listen, I think we should also keep in mind it's very early days in his Tottenham reign, and also he's out without 2 really creative players in Kulusevski and Maddison. But in terms of, you know, what they've been like on the ball and the chances they've created, they have been very poor this season, and that will have to change if Thomas Frank is going to end up being a successful manager for Tottenham.
You spoke there about the balance between attack and defence. It was something you highlighted to Arne Slot on the very first night of the season, despite the fact they'd just beaten Bournemouth. Virgil van Dijk, after that defeat to Forest, said they're in a mess. How big a mess is it, and how easily solvable is it?
It is a big mess. I'm not sure how solvable it is because Arne Slot knows a lot more about this team than I do, and he can't quite come up with the answers right now. You know, every Liverpool supporter's out there scratching their head saying, you know, the problem is the recruitment. It's players, obviously, what happened there, you know, the players they brought in the summer. He's obviously got the situation around Jota as well. The manager on the back of winning a league title. It was obvious he wanted his team to be more attacking, better on the eye, more sexy, more goals, if you like, as well. So everybody's trying to look at what they feel it might be, and no one's really got the answer because that guy there hasn't got the answer. And as I said, he's working with those players day in, day out.
You would say that the tradition at Liverpool is to give managers time. At what point does the focus become quite intense on Arne Slot, would you say?
I think any manager who loses 6 games out of 7 in the Premier League, and even if you're the manager of a promoted team, I think the heat would come on you. You know, as a manager, that's the nature of the beast of being a manager, and certainly in the biggest league in the world. But certainly when you're the champions and you've spent a lot of money in the summer, the scrutiny will be even tougher on the manager. But I wouldn't be in that camp whatsoever. No, I mean, we're going to look at this tonight. Actually, we've got Roberto Martinez on, top manager, really experienced manager in the Premier League as well, and will have gone through tough times himself, and a similar sort of style of manager as well in terms of how he wants to play the game. So it'll be interesting to get his insight on it. So we're going to have a look at that a little bit more tonight, so I don't want to give too much away now.
The future of Ethan Nwanery's potential loan move is suddenly uncertain, as Arsenal remain wary of repeating past setbacks caused by injuries. According to recent reports, the club is open to sending the young midfielder out on loan this winter, but the idea raises immediate questions. Nwanery has become the talk of the moment after a report from the Daily Mail suggested that Arsenal are considering a temporary move for the 18-year-old. Despite his limited minutes this season, the thought of letting him leave, even temporarily, comes with significant doubts. Back in October, Mikel Arteta publicly insisted that Nwanery would have plenty of opportunities to play, pointing to the fact that the teenager had already been called upon when Martin Odegaard was injured. "I don't know, but I don't work with expectations," Arteta said at the time. "I work with what the players can give in the context of where the team is at that moment." Ethan played 2 Premier League matches early on because Martin was out. He's played in other competitions and he'll play more. Yet the reality has been very different. Nwanery has logged fewer than 500 minutes this season, appearing in just 5 of Arsenal's 11 Premier League games, none of them as a starter. His only starts came in the 2 EFL Cup wins over Port Vale and Brighton, and in the 3-0 Champions League victory against Slavia Prague. The arrival of Ebereki Eze and the promotion of Max Daumann have tightened competition even further. And despite injuries to Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, and Noni Madueke, Nwanery's pathway has only narrowed. It's easy to forget how young he still is. At 18, and having first debuted at just 15, like Daumann, these are formative years where consistent playing time is crucial. The busy festive period could open that door, but with Odegaard, Madueke, and Kai Havertz all nearing their returns, there's a real chance Nwanery could slide even further down the pecking order. This is why a January loan sounds logical on paper, but it also sets off alarm bells. Arsenal's season has already been shaped by injuries for the second year in a row, and squad depth has never felt more essential. A single setback among the attacking players over the holiday fixture run could thrust Nwanery back into an important role almost overnight. The more sensible approach may be to reassess in the summer, once the squad naturally reshapes and the club have a clearer picture of their needs heading into 2025. Only then would a loan feel more secure, ensuring Nwanery actually gets the minutes he needs rather than risking another stalled development. Even then, nothing is guaranteed. Supporters will remember Serge Gnabry's loan to West Brom, intended to push him closer to first-team football, but ultimately a move that derailed his progress before he rebuilt his career in Germany. Arsenal's recent history with loans has been mixed at best, and too often unsuccessful. For now, the club must weigh the immediate needs of the squad against the long-term growth of one of their brightest prospects. Whether a loan becomes the right option, or another cautionary tale, remains to be seen. But the complexity of Nwanery's situation extends beyond simply playing time and squad depth. Inside the club, there is an ongoing debate about how quickly young talents should be exposed to the pressures of elite-level football. Some staff members argue that Nwanery's technical level is already above many players his age and that keeping him close to Arteta's structure will accelerate his development. Others believe that without consistent starts, and without a clear pathway to earn them, his progress could plateau. The uncertainty has also stirred conversation among supporters and pundits. Several former Arsenal players have expressed concern that the club may be repeating old patterns, where promising youngsters become trapped between first-team aspirations and inconsistent minutes. Others, however, believe the club is being careful for the right reasons, protecting a player who still needs physical development before facing the demands of weekly Premier League battles. This internal and external pressure has placed added scrutiny on Arteta's handling of young talents this season. While he has been praised for trusting academy graduates in the past, the balance has become harder to maintain now that Arsenal are competing on multiple fronts and aiming for silverware. Every decision carries weight. Resting senior players risks losing points, while overusing inexperienced teenagers risks injury or decline in confidence. There is also the broader question of what kind of loan would actually benefit Nwanery, should the club eventually decide to pursue one. A move to a Premier League side fighting relegation could offer minutes, but expose him to a demanding environment that prioritizes survival over development. A championship loan, on the other hand, might provide consistent matches, but at the cost of adjusting to a more physical style that does not always align with Arsenal's tactical identity. European options have been mentioned as well, though not confirmed. The possibility of joining a club in the Netherlands or Germany, leagues known for nurturing young talent, has been discussed quietly among observers. Yet Arsenal are hesitant, given how unpredictable such moves can be and how often they fail to produce the expected results. Meanwhile, Nwaneri himself remains focused and professional, according to those around the training ground. He is said to be eager for opportunities, but not frustrated or discouraged. The coaching staff admire his attitude, which only complicates the decision further. He is doing everything right, and still his future remains uncertain. As Arsenal approach the January window, the club finds itself at a crossroads. The next few weeks will likely be decisive, not just for Nwaneri's short-term career, but for how Arsenal choose to manage their most gifted prospects in an era of high expectations and relentless schedules. Any decision made now will be examined closely, not only because of what it means for Nwaneri, but because it will signal how the club intends to balance ambition with development as they move into the next phase of Arteta's project. Arsenal now face a difficult setback. Piero Hincapié may have to step into the North London derby under less than ideal circumstances after Gabriel's injury blow. The club is hoping that Hincapié's long late return trip to North London won't affect his readiness to replace Gabriel against Tottenham, because losing the Brazilian for such a crucial match is a major hit to Mikel Arteta's plans. Arsenal have already been forced to cope with key absences at various stages of the season, but Gabriel missing the derby presents a challenge of a very different magnitude. Naturally, the focus shifts to who will fill the gap on the left side of Arsenal's defense, and for many, the most logical answer is Piero Hincapié. The summer signing impressed during his only start for the club so far, an outstanding display at left centre-back in the League Cup win over Brighton. That night, he partnered with Christian Mosquera, who is also an option for Arteta on Sunday. One possible configuration would see William Saliba move to the left, with Mosquera taking his place on the right, depending on how heavily Hincapié's international travel weighs on Arteta's decision. And that travel is far from insignificant. The Ecuadorian defender is currently away with his national team. He captained Ecuador during their 0-0 draw with Canada, helping secure the clean sheet. But the real concern comes with his final international fixture. Ecuador face New Zealand in New Jersey in the early hours of Wednesday morning, UK time. The match kicks off at 1:30 a.m. and is expected to finish around 4 a.m. Only after that will Hincapié board his flight back to England, meaning he won't arrive in London until Wednesday afternoon at the earliest. From there, he will have just a handful of days to recover, settle back in, and prepare for one of the most intense fixtures of the season. The slight silver lining is that the derby falls late in the weekend, giving him as much time as possible to reintegrate. Still, the timing of his return is far from ideal and adds yet another layer of uncertainty to Arsenal's defensive preparations ahead of a match that could define their momentum for weeks to come. Beyond the logistical headache, Arteta and his staff must also consider the physical and tactical demands that a North London derby imposes. It is not the sort of match where a defender can arrive underprepared, particularly against a Tottenham side that has looked sharp in attack this season. Any hesitation, any lapse in intensity caused by travel fatigue, could be costly. Inside Arsenal, there is a quiet concern that the club may once again be walking a tightrope with its defensive depth. Over the past 2 seasons, injuries at the back have forced Arteta into uncomfortable choices, and Gabriel's setback reopens a conversation that the club hoped was behind them. The manager has repeatedly emphasized the importance of continuity across the defensive line, especially given how central the high defensive line and controlled build-up are to Arsenal's identity. Gabriel and Saliba have been at the core of that stability, and disrupting it inevitably changes the team's rhythm. Analysts close to the club have noted that Hincapié's profile fits the role well, confident under pressure, quick across the ground, and capable of progressing the ball with either foot. However, they also caution that he is still adapting to the Premier League's pace and physicality. Throwing him straight into a derby environment may accelerate his integration, but it also carries risk. Supporters have expressed mixed reactions as well. Many are eager to see Hincapié given a real opportunity, believing his style suits Arsenal's long-term plans. Others worry that asking him to deliver immediately, under difficult circumstances, could place unnecessary pressure on a player still in the early stages of adjusting to English football. The timing of Gabriel's injury also complicates Arsenal's broader goals. With a congested winter schedule approaching and the title race tightening, every match takes on heightened importance. Dropping points against Tottenham could shift momentum, not just in the standings but in confidence across the squad. It also forces Arteta to rethink how he manages minutes for defenders who have already logged heavy workloads this season. Club insiders say the staff have been preparing contingency plans for weeks, anticipating scenarios where international duties and injuries overlap. Yet even the best planning can be stretched thin when travel delays and late-night kickoffs are added to the equation. In the coming days, the medical and performance teams will conduct assessments to determine exactly how ready Hincapie is for Sunday's showdown. Arteta is expected to make a late decision, balancing long-term health with short-term necessity. The hope is that the Ecuadorian arrives in good condition, responds well to training, and can at least offer a reliable solution in Gabriel's absence. What remains undeniable is that Arsenal enter the derby under a new layer of pressure, forced to adapt, to trust their depth, and to test the resilience that has been a defining theme of their season so far.